Let's start with Jusuf Nurkic. Nate,
man.
how you feeling about him? What are your expectations for this year with the Bosnian Beast?
I expect him to do exactly what he did last year. Last year in the 20 games when he came over with the Blazers, he averaged 15 points a game, 10 rebounds, a couple blocks, and he averaged about 30 minutes a game. This year, as we know, he's supposedly in much better shape, lost 25 to 30 pounds.
34 pounds.
34 pounds this offseason. So potentially his minutes could go up, but I wouldn't expect them to go more than 35 a game. I think that would even be a lot.
Right.
So I would expect him to play about the same amount of time last year. And if you can get 15 and 10 out of him again and him be the interior presence he was and have the passing capability he showed last year, you'd be thrilled if you're a Blazers fan.
Jared?
I agree. I think that he has potential to be better than he was last year. I know that Nurkic came to Portland from Denver with a little bit of a bad reputation.
Yeah.
He was very out of shape when he arrived in Portland. He had lost his starting position in Denver. He'd lost a role even playing at all on the team. He was sulking. He had a bad attitude. There were reports that he left a game at halftime and his coach had to go and get him and bring him back. So he came to Portland with a bad reputation. But whenever Nurkic had the opportunity to play in Denver, whenever he was put out there, played more than 26 minutes a game, the averages that we saw in Portland last season, that's what he did whenever he was given an opportunity in Denver. So Nurkic deserves some blame for what happened in Denver, but Denver also misused him. So I think that given that he's in such better shape, he's 100% healthy, he's going to be ready to go once training camp opens, and how good he was last year.
Yeah.
I think that with the passage of time, we sometimes forget how dominant he was in those 20 games with Portland and how dominant they were as a team once he got here. I just think the sky's the limit as long as he stays healthy.
I agree. I think that that's the main thing that you touched on and that you touched on in all of this here is health.
Yeah.
And I think that Blazers fans should be excited when they see these images of what Jusuf Nurkic looks like now, because from the waist down, this is going to be helpful in carrying less weight on him and the wear and tear that goes through a big guy throughout the season, and especially a player like him and the style of play that he brings to the table and being a physical presence to being a tough guy. All these things are going to help when it comes to just getting him on the floor, because when he's on the floor in those 20 games, they win 14 times, and I think that that sample size is enough to see what he can bring and how he fits into this team, and that's what they were missing is a guy like him, and they have him. So I think out of all of this, it's keeping him healthy.
And exactly. I mean, if he can play 60 games this year, I think you'd be thrilled if you're a Blazers fan. I mean, they are going to give him rest from time to time, most likely. He's a big man, and obviously given the history here in Portland with big men, they're aware of it, of big guys going down, never coming back being the same. So they don't want to do the same with Nurkic. They're not going to overwork him. And so with that in mind, and the fact that he's also completely bought in, like Jared said, that's obvious with the way he's worked out this summer. And last year he gave this team some toughness. He gave him a little bit of an identity, too.
A little bit of swagger.
Exactly. He gave him energy, and they fed off it. You could even tell in the playoff game that he played in, he wasn't anywhere close to 100%.
Right.
But the Blazers,
he changed the dynamic of the game.
Exactly. The Blazers came out on fire in that game. The atmosphere going into that Game 3 against the Warriors was bigger than any of the other games. And so he has that type of impact on this team.
All right, let's check in.
Got a good question from Sean Bryant, who wants to know, what do you guys think of his future with the team? Should the Blazers extend him now?
Man, this is
Such a good question.
Great question. I'll let you go ahead and repeat the question.
What was the name? I'm sorry?
Sean Bryant.
Sean Bryant, thank you for the question. So he wanted to know about Nurkic's future with the team and whether we think the Blazers should extend him now or wait until next offseason.
I'd go with next offseason. I got to see him get through a season healthy before I commit to a guy long term with a lot of money. And maybe it only takes half the season. Maybe he gets to the All-Star break, he's been completely healthy, and the Blazers just jump on it right then because they feel maybe they can get him at a little bit of a discount than they would if they waited till the off season. But I think you have to wait until he can prove he can be healthy.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that. I don't know if you rush things along. I don't think that there's even a need to, because I think both sides of this thing are happy.
Yeah. Right.
Jusuf Nurkic wants to be in Portland. Portland wants Jusuf Nurkic to be here. But yeah, if he earns it, and let's say he is averaging 15 and 11 at the All-Star break, and people are talking about him being a potential All-Star, and he's healthy, you got to commit.
And why does he want to sign an extension now? If he's signing an extension now, it's going to be at a discount because he's coming off an injury. He has injury history. He's not going to make Probably you're looking at $12 million a year. I think if he signed an extension now, that's what the Blazers would offer. He's not going to want that.
No.
Jusuf Nurkic has extreme confidence in himself. My guess is he believes that he's going to have an All-NBA type season this coming year. He's going to bank on himself, and he's going to be aiming for a max deal next summer.